Hi, it's Lisa Marie. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. And if you are returning, thank you so much. I love you guys and I'm glad you're here. I've got this cute little house shape from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use my heat tool to get off the tags on the back and all of those flowers on the front. And I got that at Amazon. And then I sand it down, so I want to get rid of that rough spot. I'm going to use my little ladybug vacuum to get all the dust from the sanding out. I really love that thing. It comes in handy. Next, I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint and I'm going to do several coats on this entire house. I'm going to use my heat tool to dry it quickly because I'm impatient. Then I'm going to very lightly sand again with my Dollar Tree sanding sponge just to get a really nice smooth finish because I'm going to put some rub-on transfers from the Dollar Tree on this. I'm just looking at those transfers now. It's got all the cute words and all different fonts and directions, and I'm just trying to figure out how much of it to cut. It's not like I can fit it exactly, so what I'll do is I'll fussy cut it, I will attach it, and then I'll cut out individual words and just put them on where I can fit them. So you can see there I just used my little Cricut scraper. You could use a popsicle stick, anything you want. And as you rub on it, the transfer releases onto whatever surface. And then you just slowly lift the plastic. And if you see that something isn't coming off, just rub again until it does. They're actually very easy to do. Be careful not to touch the back of it with your finger. I did by accident and a little bit came off. So then you'll see I will go in with a little black marker and just kind of touch it up. For those who don't know, I am on social media. You can find me on Pinterest, Facebook, TikTok now, and Instagram. Come on over, follow me, say hi, and if you have any pictures to send me, please do it there. All the links are in my description box below. So there I am with the marker. Now what I didn't do was let it dry enough or seal the top with a spray. I went and got my Mod Podge and started brushing over it and the ink started to smear. Oh no, right? So I tried to dry it and then go over it again. And what I ended up having to do is go back with my white paint and do a little bit of touch up, which is, unfortunate because it took extra time. So if you're really careful, you will not have to do that. Now that that's done, I took a piece of scrapbook paper, which I just love, and I traced around the shape of the house so I could cut it out, and I'm just going to attach it to the back. I love that look with scrapbook paper because you can get so many cool patterns and pictures that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. And I actually just used a glue stick to attach it, and I scraped with my little Cricut scraper to make sure it was on. I could have used my brayer, but this was handy. Now I took a nail file, also from the Dollar Tree. You could take some sandpaper or a sanding sponge and just go around the edges, and I only go downward because I don't want to rip the paper up and it will separate from the edges and make a really nice clean edge. I'm going to do that all the way around. Then I'm going to take some twine from the Dollar Tree and I'm just going to find the middle and wrap it around, and then I'm going to wrap it around again and again, and when it's all done I'm going to make a little bow right there on the scrapbook paper side, and it's super cute. I'm going to put a little bit of greenery just that I have left over from cutting up other pics, and I'm going to hot glue that right to the center. And then I'm going to turn it over and add a little bit to the other side. And then I add this cute little white paper flower that I had right in the middle on the side with the words, just to make it look different from the other side. It's just a nice little finishing touch. I decided that the other side needed something right in the middle between the two pieces of greenery, so I found this other little light green kind of flowery pick that I had, and I'm just going to attach it right there. You guys, this is a very easy project, super inexpensive, almost all Dollar Tree. I hope you like it. If you are enjoying this video, stop what you're doing right now and hit that like button. It really helps YouTube to show my video to more people, and I really appreciate it. This Dollar Tree hack, I've got this frame from the thrift store, and I've got these little canvases from Dollar Tree, the hard ones, and these rub-on transfers. I love those. And then the one also with all the words, I've used some of it. That little canvas fit perfectly in there. I don't know how that happened. I'm going to use my Moss chalk paint by Waverly. I'm going to paint the entire frame, front, sides, back, everything. I just think it's such a beautiful color, especially this time of year. I just love, love it. Plus, it matches with those little transfers really well. So pretty. Then I'm going to take some Mod Podge and I'm going to cover the front of my little canvas because it's very textured and I'm worried about getting the transfers to rub on. So I want to put that layer on there first and that'll help smooth it out a bit. So just a little hack there. If you do that, that will really help make your transfer apply. I'm going to use my heat tool from Amazon and dry it off so that I don't pull any of it up when I try to rub on the transfer. Very important. You know, whether you're painting or Mod Podging, make sure it's very dry. Take my transfers. I've got just that little wreath that was in the middle and then the word family and forever that I cut out from the other set. I'm positioning them to see where I want them to go. And now I always cut a little edge bigger, another hack, around the edges so that I can touch it. If you touch where the design is, it'll come off on your fingers every time. So now I've just got a little scraper tool and I am just going to rub and rub and rub. And you can kind of see that it gets like lighter on the surface of the plastic when the transfer actually happens. And then once you get that on there, I lift up the edge very carefully and I start removing it. And if I see any spots that didn't make it, I immediately lay it back down and rub over them. This one happened to work very well. And then I'm going to use my fingers to kind of burnish it over the top, make sure there are no edges sticking up at all. Next, I'm going to do the same thing with my word family. And like I said, try to have a little edge where you can put your fingers, because I have messed so many of these up in the past by touching them. Always cut a little edge that's bigger. You'd be surprised how much that will help. So now I'm just going to go over the actual letters, and that really makes this go faster when you do that. I'm just going to take the pointy end and literally kind of draw over the letters, and then when I go to lift it up, they will all be there. But I go slowly just in case a little piece didn't make it, and I can set it right back down. And now I'm going to do the word forever, same exact process, but again, being super, super careful. You see how I'm holding it so that I don't touch the back of those letters. I cannot stress that enough because I have messed up so many, you guys. I don't want you to do that. I think this is so pretty. It's so simple, and yet it's just a timeless piece because family is forever and it will always be forever. So this is just something that will never go out of style. So I'm burnishing it again, and then I'm going to take my polyacrylic top coat and I'm just going to put it all over the frame, front and back. I like to seal in my paint, especially if it's something that might get moved around. It'd be very easy to like chip an edge of paint or something. So next thing I put a hanger on the back. I didn't bore you with showing you. It was just the kind that a little sawtooth hanger. I just put 2 screws and screwed them in. I'm going to put that polyacrylic finish over the family forever to seal in my little transfers, and that just really gives it a nice finished look. Now I'm going to take my hot glue gun and I'm going to go around all the inside edges of the frame from the back, and then I will set my little picture right in there and press it down to make sure that the glue dries. And you guys, that was it. It was so easy. I love this one. I love that color. I hope you really like it too. Oh, and I'm going to reinforce some glue in the back just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Super easy. I love these Dollar Tree hacks. Tree hack, I'm going to take this little, I don't know, tin piece that I got for $3 at a thrift store. I've got these rub-on transfers from the Dollar Tree, and this was left over from a sale item from Hobby Lobby. Got my Rust-Oleum chalked white linen paint and my Lagoon Waverly chalk paint. I'm going to remove the hanger that came with it. I'm going to use my crud cutter and clean it off because, you know, thrift store. I'm going to use the Lagoon paint. I'm going to paint the entire thing front and back. It doesn't have to be a super solid coat because we're going to do a little distressing. I'm going to take this makeup brush, and they're really good for this, for kind of like a dry brush. Just put a little on your brush, wipe most of it off, and drag it across. And there you go. I've done that just to the front. And now I'm just going to see how I might position this little orange. And I take my little snips and cut out those 2 pieces of wire that were sticking out. Those were attached to the original piece. Now I'm going to cut around the part that says Hello Summer with the 2 flowers and see what the whole thing will look like before I get started. Now these gold foil rub-on transfers take forever and they're not easy, so take your time, make sure you keep checking it, and it won't come out perfect no matter what you do. So you have to be ready for touch-ups, which I will do in just a minute. But I had rubbed for quite a long time. I decided not to show you the whole thing. And so there it is, and I've got a couple spots. I'm going to use my folk art metallic paint and just kind of touch them up. And then I'm going to take a combination of E6000 and hot glue to attach the little orange. And I'm just kind of checking where it's going to touch exactly. There's no point in getting lots and lots of glue for no reason. And I'm just going to press that on, let the hot glue dry. And then I think I need to add a new hanger. So I've got this cute gold and white baker's twine from Target. Just going to feed it through those little tin hanger things, tie a knot, and I'm just going to tack it down with some hot glue, and then on the back put a little piece of masking tape over it just to really make sure that it is not going anywhere. It's not heavy, but if I decide to put anything else on it, it will definitely be able to handle it. And that's it. It's so cute, so easy, so fast, and I hope you like it. This Dollar Tree hack, I'm going to take this tin planter that I got at the Goodwill for $3. You find these every time you go. I'm going to use my crud cutter and clean it up real good, and then my heat tool to get off the price tag, and then also I need to use some rubbing alcohol to get off the other price. I'm going to use some painter's tape and diagonally tape from one corner to the other, and I'm going to do 2 coats of my white Rust-Oleum linen, or linen white chalk paint. I always say that wrong. Anyway, and then when I'm near the tape, I'm going to paint away from it, so not towards it, but from the tape across. That way I won't have any bleeding. And then I'm going to dry each section off after each coat, and then I'm going to do it to the next corner. And this one, they'll be like touching, the 2 sides will be touching, and then when I do the other 2 sides, they will be touching, so it'll be kind of like, I don't know, kind of opposing corners, if you will. See, there you go. Now the most satisfying part of all, we are going to pull the tape off. And I was very happy with my lines. I feel like they came out really, really good. So that worked out great. I really didn't end up doing any touch-up. I mean, there's a little drop there, but I ended up not even bothering with it because it wasn't noticeable. So now that I have these nice crisp lines and my planter is painted just the way I want, I'm going to take my Dollar Tree rub-on transfers, these gorgeous little green ones with the leaves, and I had 2 of each kind that were big like that, so I just cut them up and I'm just going to position them. I'm going to rub them on and check and then carefully pull them off. I did speed this up a little so you don't have to watch me scrape every single one, but I want you to see how the process goes. So here's the next side, and I kind of alternate between the 2 kind of leaves that I cut out. And look at that, it's so pretty, so simple. I didn't need to overdo it. And there's my other 2 corners that are right next to each other, and I'm going to go ahead and do the 2 different pieces again. And I'm just using a little wooden stick this time. It had a better point on it, so I thought it was going to maybe go a little bit faster, and it did. I was so inspired by my friend Leonette. She has a channel called DIY Beauty on Purpose, and let me tell you, she knows how to do things that are so beautiful and simple, and she knows when to stop, and she's helped me so much. So thanks, Leonette. I'll put her link in my description box. You really should check her out. And then I'm going to put some styrofoam that I cut up. It was just from packing, a packing box. And then I'm going to put 3 gorgeous peonies. And I think I got this little bouquet of different flowers at Hobby Lobby on sale. And it also had these really pretty purple flowers with the little green buds. And I'm going to put those in the 4 corners. And then I'm going to use my eucalyptus as filler and a couple other leaves I just had in my stash. So I've learned that you want a thriller, a filler, and a spiller. So the peonies were my thriller. The purple flowers with the long branches were my spiller, and the eucalyptus was my filler, and it just turned out gorgeous. I gotta tell you, this is my favorite flower arrangement that I've ever done, and I absolutely love it. The colors are so vibrant. This was so easy to make. I mean, I thought I was gonna have to put moss in there to cover the white styrofoam. With all the filler, I didn't have to. So let me know what you think about this one. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. this Dollar Tree hack. I've got this cute little trivet. It's like a little tile with some, I don't know what mosaic kind of seashell looking things, and it's framed with a wooden frame. So it's like a trivet or a stand or a coaster. And I couldn't get the coaster out, so I just taped around it, and I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white paint, very carefully paint around all of the frame, front and back, and over the back of the tile because it showed the price tag, which was $2. And it looks so nice and clean and fresh now. And then I've got these little rub-on transfers of seashells and sea-like things from the Dollar Tree, and I picked two that were really cute, so I'm going to take my little scraper and rub this one on, and I had it going over the corners. So then you just got to be careful, fold it, rub on both sides, and then you can remove it. And that was super easy. It went right on, and I didn't have any problems with this one. Just, I think I saw one little dot that didn't make it, so I scraped it a little bit. And there it is. And then I'm going to put one in the opposing corner, and it's super cute as well. And I just love them. They were the right color for those little tiles, and it just worked out perfectly. And I think this will look really cute in my bedroom, which is a coastal theme. If you've been watching me for a while, you've heard that before. And lately I've been kind of updating and making some new things for my room, so this will be really cute in there. I'm going to hot glue some jute around that tile. I'm going to get all the way around the four sides, and that's it for this project. I love it. It was easy, and I hope you like it. Tree hack, I found this cute, I think it's a candle holder at the Goodwill. Could be a trivet, not sure, or a little, to put your rings in or something. And I've got this cute little rub-on medallion from the Dollar Tree, and then my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and some polyacrylic clear spray. And the reason I'm spraying it on there first on both sides is so that the paint will stick. I want to make sure it had something to stick to. So I'm just going to dry it off before I paint it, and then I'll do the back side as well. Just a light coat, just so there's something between the paint and the metal. And now I'm just going to go ahead and paint it. It is going to take 2 coats on both sides before I'm all done, but I'll just show you a little bit of the painting since we all know what painting looks like. It looks so different. It almost looks like it's enamel now instead of like this kind of silver metal thing. But it's super pretty. It already had those beads on this going around the outside. And then I'm only going to paint up to the flat bottom part because I figured why bother? It's just going to be sitting on those 3 little cushions. And I think that looked good. That way you can see that it was originally metal. And I took my little scraper tool spatula from Cricut actually, and I just took off the paint right around the edge because it was really hard to not get it on there, and it came right off. Super, super easy. Now I forget to show up, but at the very end, off camera, I do spray the whole thing with that clear finish again. So just want to make sure you know that. Now I'm going to take the backing off of this rub-on transfer. I'm going to put it right in the middle. Now this took quite a long time to rub on because look at all the detail. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of my putting it on because you know what that looks like and you get it. Just remember this one, you've got to go over every single little piece to make sure it all transfers over. So I had to keep checking it here and there. And this one was hard to lift up because it was laying kind of flat inside that little bowl shape. I did finally get it out, and it went on pretty good. There was a couple little spots, but I really didn't care. I just thought it looked beautiful. This one was super easy. I love it, and it's so pretty, and I hope you get to try this when you find something like this at a thrift store. They always have candle holders. Taking this thrifted item. It looks like it was originally from Hobby Lobby. I got it for $3. It was $7.99. And then here are the Dollar Tree stickers or decals that I'm going to use. I'm just going to take those flowers around the edges of that one. I had cut it up before. And then ballet slipper chalk paint and Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. There are all the pieces cut. I'm going to take the ballet slipper. I'm just going to start painting it all over the pig. I want him to or her to look like a pig. And then I'm going to go through and just kind of clean up all the white. It's like a very thin metal, but it was kind of dirty looking, but with a brown. And I'm going to use a different color to do it. I'm going to take a nail file, also from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start going around the edges to bring back out those rough edges, but that wasn't enough. So I'm using a little sanding block with a 60 grit sandpaper, and that seems to be helping me. But I'm going to also take this black acrylic paint from Apple Barrel and just use a little edge of a foam brush and go around. And now that's a lot more than I wanted, but I am going to go back over it with some white just to tone it down a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to do just a little bit of black, you know what I mean? Anyway, I will fix that and I end up really loving it. But in the meantime, I'm going to take those, we'll just call them decals. Anyway, I'm going to take those decals and I'm going to start figuring out where I want them. I want it to look like the pig is walking by a fence with like flowers all around it. So I'm just going to cut the edges off with my blade, and I'm going to cut wherever it makes contact with another edge so it kind of lays flat. If I have to cut them up into little pieces, I will do that. You can do this any way you want, okay? And even like hanging over the edge like that one was, and I really like it. And then I got a suggestion from a friend, Leonette at DIY Beauty on Purpose. I was showing her my pig, and she said, add some real flowers for like a 3D effect. And I thought, oh my gosh, what a great idea. So first I added a butterfly. Now I'm also going to put Leonette's channel down in the description box for you to check her out because she always has great ideas. I love bouncing ideas off of her. And now I'm going to take this little, I think this is boxwood, and I'm just going to cut up teeny little pieces. And then I have these flower petals because everything was getting too green almost. So I got these flower petals that had different colors of pink or magenta, and I kind of cut them off of a flower, poked a hole in the middle, and now I'm putting these little wild kind of greenery pieces that I painted pink and added some more white on them in a minute here. I'm going to hot glue those on, and there I am adding that white. They were just too pink like the pig. I was trying to get them to stand out a little bit more. And then I forgot what these are called, but I just cut up little pieces of these. And then I started putting the boxwood on the back. That way it would poke through every opening on the back. You would see it, and also along the edges. Anyway, I did go a little crazy. I'll admit it. It was one of those times where I might have needed to stop, but I didn't. But I just liked it so much. It's really cute. It's turning out a little bit shabby chic, but I think it can still work with farmhouse. Now I'm going to go in with the white. Just put a little bit and then smear it with my hand. I figured I have to wash my hands anyway. And just used up the last of the little stickers. And I gotta tell you, I really, really like this one. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's so adorable. I've got this sheer pink ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I'm just gonna put it through the holes, hot glue it down to the back, and then put another piece of ribbon across that middle part of the fence just to secure it. But then I like my backs finished, so I ended up taking the pink and I painted the whole back. Not sure if I really needed to do that, but okay, it's done. Let me know what you guys think. What would you have done? For this DIY hack, I'm going to use, actually I turned out only using those black flowers. I didn't use the stickers on the right, but they're very cute. Those are from Dollar Tree. And then I got this cute little trinket kind of box, I guess, for $1 at a thrift store. And it looks like a gift came in it or something, but it's not my color scheme, but I just thought it was a cute shape. I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum chalk to linen white paint and a foam brush. And I'm going to paint the whole bottom, including the sides, all in the linen white, and just do a couple coats to get that coverage. I'm not going to do the part that gets rubbed underneath the lid because it'll just scrape off paint, I think. So of course I dry it with my heat tool between coats, and there it is with 2 good coats. It looks really nice. Did the lid as well, even though I'm going to change the color of the lid. Now I'm going to cover it in polyurethane so that I can put the stickers on. So I'm lining it up where the seam is because I just kind of think that might really matter. Anyway, I don't know if it does or not. I'm going to take that entire strip of the flowers and put it around and just lay it down very carefully and burnish it over the top with my fingers. Then I'm going to take the other one, which is now too long, so I will cut off the 2 ends so that I can place the rest of it down on the remaining side of the little, I guess I'll call it a cardboard canister. I think that's what that would be. I'm just going to put that one down and be very careful when you place it down because it sticks so fast, and I had to kind of reposition it, which was a little tricky with the polyurethane already on there. So there it is, all nice and done. And now I was thinking, I don't think I want the top white, so I am going to paint that different. But first I'm going to put a clear coat of the polyurethane over all of the stickers in that white part because I want to make sure they're sealed on there very nicely. So I'm going to take this black acrylic paint from Apple Barrel, and I'm just going to do the outside of the lid. It takes a couple coats, and then I also put polyurethane over that off camera. I'm going to take 2 Jenga blocks or tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree. I painted them white, and then I glued them together, and I'm going to take the little pieces that were left over and cut them up into smaller pieces and put them on those 2 blocks, because that will become the handle on top of the box. And I thought that was a really cute way to tie it all together. So I really love how that turned out, and I just took all the little pieces that were left and made them even smaller, and it just worked out perfectly. I'm going to take a blade and kind of go between where the 2 pieces are together. If I put a sticker over the top, that way it lays flat. And then I'm going to put polyurethane over the top of that, and then I'm going to use a combination of E6000 and hot glue to put it on the top. Now I'm measuring to find the exact center, so that's what I'm doing right now, and then I'm just going to put a little dot to remind myself of where that is. And here we go, putting the 2 glues on. Obviously the E6000 is for the long hold and the hot glue is for immediate hold. And I think this turned out super cute. What an easy way to repurpose a little cardboard canister. I bet somebody has one at home they could do this with. It could be square too. Let me know what you think. This DIY hack, I have this bowl. I don't know if it's teak, but it reminds me of teak. Got it for 50 cents. I actually got 2 of them. And see those little dandelion blue stickers? I'm going to use those from the Dollar Tree or Decals. They're so cute. Took off the stickers, cleaned the bowl with my cred cutter real good. It's amazing. Things don't look dirty, but when you clean them, they really are. So you always have to clean them from the thrift store. At least I want to do that for sure. I'm sure most of you do too. Okay, once that was done and all dry, I took some painter's tape and it just went up around the very top edge. I wanted to just make one little area white. I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. And I'm just going to paint from the tape line down to where it naturally kind of ends before it angles off towards the bottom. And I just thought that would look super, super cute. Did a couple coats, dried it with my heat tool from Amazon. And now the best part, removing the tape. Gosh, I love that so much. Anyway, it just looks great. Now, it's not perfect because it's round, but you know what? I'm not trying to have perfection. I just wanted kind of a 2-tone effect, color blocking, if you will. I'm going to put polyurethane finish over just the white paint just to seal that in. And then once it's dry, I'm going to take my little dandelion stickers or decals. I'm just going to use kind of the smaller versions of them. There's 2 different small sizes. I'm going to just start putting them around, and then I'll fill in some of the gaps as I go, and I really like the way it looks. And then I'm just going to cover it with the polyurethane again. And then I have 3 corks that I was given by my stepdaughter. And I'm going to paint those in the linen white paint again, except for the part I'm going to glue on to the bottom. And it took a couple coats, by the way, to do that. And then I'm just going to use some E6000 and hot glue like I usually do when I want something to really stay. So I'm putting the E6000 right in the middle and then the hot glue around it. And I'll do that for all 3 of the legs. And I just thought that made it look a little different to have the legs on it. I thought it was super, super cute. This is such an easy project. All you need is a bowl, paint a little bit, and some decals. And I love it. And you can stage this in so many ways. I think it's great. And the inside of the bowl is still the way it was, so you can use it for anything. I hope this DIY screams, I'm ready for spring. I've got this butterfly cut up, a metal butterfly wind chime, and some gorgeous kind of teal contact paper. I love it. I'm going to paint the back side with my Rust-Oleum white linen chalk paint. And then on the other side, I'm going to take the contact paper and I just cut out a square that's bigger than the butterfly. And I'm just going to press it on and kind of roll off the paper as I go. That way I don't get any bubbles. And then I'm going to take my brayer that I got at Amazon, and I'm going to use that to flatten the whole surface, and then I'm going to take a utility knife and cut around all the edges. Just to make sure there aren't any little excess edges hanging over, I'm going to take my nail file, and I'm just going to, in a downward motion, go all the way around, and that takes care of it. I'm going to take some little snips, and I'm going to cut off, or actually just pull off, those extra pieces that made it a wind chime, and then I'm going to position what's left of it on top. I'm going to slide a little piece of paper towel under each of the top wings. I want to paint those white. I know the orange and yellow is pretty, but for this I wanted it to be white. I'm going to dry it off with my heat tool from Amazon. And then I'm just going to carefully bend the wings in and kind of position them so they look like they're in motion more. And then I'm going to use my hot glue because this is very light, doesn't require more. But of course you can use something more heavy duty like E6000 if you want. And then I'm just going to place it right on top of the other butterfly. Now this piece is going to go on a sign, and I'm going to use this Dollar Tree decal and this Halloween sign. I had it from Dollar Tree a long time ago. I'm going to remove that ghost on the front, and we're actually going to make the back the front now. I'm going to paint it in my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to do kind of a rough coat because I want this to look distressed. And once it is all painted, I'm going to, just kind of go up and down so it looks like it has some wood grain lines in it. Then I'm going to take my square ruler and draw some shiplap lines. First, I'm going to cut out the Be Humble portion of this decal because that's what I want for this one. I look at butterflies as they're just so beautiful, but they're not aware of their beauty because they start off as, caterpillars. So Be Humble seems like it goes perfectly with that. And here I am drawing my shiplap lines with pencil. And I learned this technique from my friends Kay and Trish at the Crafting Cousins. I'll link them down below. And what you do is you get your hands wet and then you just kind of smudge the pencil mark. Now, if you over smudge, that's really okay. I wipe away the excess of the water, and when it's all done, I'm going to go back with my white chalk paint and a very chippy brush, and I'm just going to go over it till it looks like the way I want it to. And I can always add more pencil if I want and do the paint and just kind of go back and forth till it looks just the way I want it to. Now I'm going to take that chippy brush and just do the dry brushing, and that's where you just put a little bit on your brush, you wipe most of it off, that's what I have that little paper there for, and then you go back over, and that way you don't over paint. But I want it to look old and distressed, and this really gives that look. Then I'm going to take my sanding sponge. I'm just going to lightly go over those lines so that there isn't like kind of raised up portions from the paint since I went over it again. I just want it to be smooth. Now that it is, I'm going to take care of the back. I'm going to cover it with some craft paper. So I'm just going to cut a piece. I had a little wrinkled piece that I had already torn off. I figured why not use it? It doesn't really matter. So I'll get it closer to the size, and then I'll just go ahead and hot glue it directly on, and then I cut away the excess. I find that it's so much easier to do it this way than to try to cut the exact shape. And then I just take my little scissors and I'll just go around. Now I don't want to lose my hole, so I'm just going to take a pencil and poke right through, and that way it'll go through the paper and I can go ahead and put the hanger back in. And then I decided to take the side of my pencil and just kind of go around the edges. Now I am going to change, this is the original twine that came with it, but I'm going to change it to some white twine that I have from the Dollar Tree. So right now I'm just figuring out where am I going to put the butterfly and where am I going to put the decal. So I think I like where I've got it. I'm going to go ahead and peel off the decal. It is sticky. So I'll go ahead and just set that on there right where I want it. I don't need to put Mod Podge for this. And this is going to be an inside sign, and so I'm actually not even going to put Mod Podge over the whole thing. You absolutely can if that's something you like to do. And then I'm going to take my E6000 and I'm going to put that kind of around the back of the butterfly, and then in the middle of that I'll add some hot glue. That way it'll stick right away so I can keep working if I need to. And then I'm going to take my butterfly and I'm going to put it at a slight diagonal up on the top left. And then I'm going to take that white string that I had and attach that. This was so inexpensive, basically $4 plus paint and things like that. And I bought all these things before the price of the Dollar Tree went up, and I hope you guys like it. I'm going to use some florals from the Dollar Tree, not that one as it turns out. Part of this decal, a pretty spring napkin, a little jar, and a picture, all from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to open it up and take out the glass and the backing. I'm not going to need the glass at all for this. I am going to need the backing, and I'll use that momentarily. And then I'm going to also use that contact paper. I forgot to mention that. I'm going to separate the 1-ply that's on the napkin because it's a 2-ply napkin. Of course, you got to remove that. And then I'm going to figure out how much I need because I want to decoupage the picture frame with that napkin. It's going to be so pretty. So I'm just going to cut out some strips that will be long enough and wide enough to get around the entire frame. And I measured everything. And I will have to piece it together, but no big deal because it's a busy pattern, you won't notice. And now I've got my Mod Podge. I'm going to apply it to the front, the side, a little bit of the back, and a little bit of the inside front. And just carefully lay that down in pieces and then just, pat it down. And then I'm going to continue. I'm just going to show you one side because then you'll know how to do the rest. And once I get that on, I'll go ahead and lay some Mod Podge right over the top of it. And I'm going to dry each section between application. Now I'm going to turn it over and apply Mod Podge all to the front there and then lay that down and press it into the frame gently so I don't tear anything. The napkin starts to get wet from the Mod Podge, so you have to be really careful. You see, I'm just tapping it lightly, not pushing hard or anything. I don't want to rip it. And then I'm going to have to cut a little slit in the corners to make it fold under because it doesn't go up straight, obviously. I'm going to do that with the outside corners as well at an angle. Another slit across this one and cut on the diagonal. Doesn't have to be perfect because Mod Podging is very forgiving when you have a busy pattern like this. And besties, if you're enjoying this video, please do me a favor and hit the like button. And then I'm going to cut off the excess and just make sure that everything is covered in Mod Podge now and laying down flat. Now I'm drying it again. And then I'm going to, once it's dry, I can slightly just rip that napkin right off the edge. See, I'm doing it so carefully, little pieces by pieces. And that way it'll be a nice clean edge. And actually that's on the back. You wouldn't see it anyway, but I still tried to make it look nice. So there's one whole side done. And now the entire frame is done. I just think it's so, so pretty. Now I'm going to take that piece that's the backing of what was in there originally, and I'm going to lay it on top of this contact paper, and I'm going to cut out, roughly that size. Again, it doesn't have to be exact because we will trim it. I'm just kind of looking at it, making sure that I have enough, and I do. Then I'm going to take some cardboard, and I had to piece them together with tape that is the right size, and I'm going to go ahead and lay down the contact paper. I always start at one end and only reveal a little bit of the paper, and then as I slide the backing out, I rub it so that I don't get any bubbles or, any creases. I'm going to use my brayer to make it nice and flat against the surface. And then I'm going to take my little teeny scissors and I'm just going to cut around all 4 sides. Now I'm going to take my decal and I'm going to cut off that little extra embellishment on the side of the L because I don't really need it and it makes it too big. And I'm just figuring out where I'm going to position it. I'm going to take my little glass jar, put a little bit of that glue on it, and I've got this pretty green ribbon and I'm going to wrap it all the way around and secure it with glue. Now I'm going to go through all my little flower scraps that I have and I'm just going to piece some really pretty colors together that I think will look good with that frame. So I'm going to get the backing in the frame, nice and secure, and then the actual backing. So the piece I did and then the backing, I'm going to push down the little tabs, make sure it's in there. Then I'm going to remove the decal from the backing and I'm going to apply it where I would like it to be, right on the contact paper. And you can see it kind of started sticking, but it comes right up because it's just a contact paper. It's a nice smooth surface, so it doesn't take any of it with it, and I can reposition it and fix it. And you just press that down. Now I decided I want to add some more ribbon around this because you can see the little ends of the flowers. So I did that. I secured the flowers in with a dab of hot glue, and now I am putting the little glass jar on the picture with some hot glue, and I think it's super, super cute. Now I want to add a little flower and a butterfly, and I'm going to just put those in individually with hot glue just to give it a little more color and fullness. Now I want to put a hanger on. I probably should have done that first. I always forget that. Do you ever forget to put your hanger on until afterwards? Please tell me I'm not the only one. So I'm going to put it on with hot glue. It's just a piece of rope. I'm going to cut those little edges, and then I'm going to take a piece of masking tape. I like to do this to secure the pictures. I actually got that tip from Holly at Hot Humble Pie. I love that idea, and you just go ahead and glue it down, and it really, really is secure now. That thing isn't going anywhere. So I'll put Holly's link down below in case you want to check her out. She's awesome. And now I felt like it was too bright, compared to everything else that I have. So I just whitewashed it with my white chalk paint. You guys, I love this so much. It's beautiful, it's vibrant, and it's so spring-like. And it was under $5 to make. For this DIY hack, I'm going to use these decals from the Dollar Tree that I'm going to use just the Our Story, Our Home, Our Love part. And then I got these 3 books at a thrift store for 50 cents each. Really nice hardcover books. And I know some people don't like that, but honestly, 50 cents, I'm sorry, I got to do it. Anyway, I took off the paper covers, and now I love how that one has just the white stripe kind of down it, but it was an off-white. So I'm going to use the same idea on all of them. Tape it down, and I'm going to use some white primer paint by Decals, mostly because it's just so stark white. Dry them off, do another coat, and I'll do the same thing on all 3 books and around the edges of that where the binding is. And then I end up doing also the sides of the pages when I'm all done. So like the 2 sides and the front. So when you look at the book from every angle, it's whiter. You know, like I just like a little bit of that crisp white look in this case. I'm not making them look antique-y or anything. So that's why. So I'm just gonna, like I said, do this same stripe. Doesn't it look good? I don't know. I just makes the book look so pretty and like kind of fancy. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think of that and if that changes the look of the book for you. And here I am painting those sides like I mentioned. Anyway, now one thing that I should have done is while they were not together, I should have just hot glued all of the covers back in front to the book part, but I instead did the books to each other, and then I go back and do the inside of the covers. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, learn from my mistakes and do it the other way, because it was kind of silly now that I look back at this. Anyway, whatever, it works either way. So see what I'm doing now. I pick up the cover, and now I'm gonna have to do it to the inside ones too, which is why it seemed kind of backwards. Whatever it is, it is. So there I am. I will glue them all together, and you don't have to saturate it, just enough hot glue to hold it down. I'm also going to put a ribbon around them, so you know they're not going to get opened up or anything like that. I just want them to stay more stationary. So now I'm going to cut out those 3 little sections. I'm going to leave the hearts behind and the This Is Us, and I'll save it for another project. And all I'm going to do is put them in the order that I like, which is Our Home, Our Love, Our Story. I feel like that's kind of the sequence that they go in. And I guess it could have been Our Love, Our Home, Our Story. Either way, I just love this book stack. If you don't have a Cricut or a cutting machine, this is a great way to do this. Or if you don't like your handwriting or whatever, then I'm going to take some polyurethane by Minwax. I'm just going to cover up where the white is and where the words are. I'm not going to do the rest of the book. It doesn't need to be done that way. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that and dry it. And I've got this beautiful ribbon. It's wired. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby. And look how beautiful that ribbon is. And I'm just going to hot glue where the pieces meet. And then I'm going to take some faux flowers that I also got at Hobby Lobby. They're just a little bit higher quality. And I cut down the stem, so it was pretty thick stem, so I needed to cover that part up. So I got some very thin twine from the Dollar Tree, and I just wrapped it all the way around the end there. And then I used that to hot glue it to the top of the book. And then I also tacked down a couple leaves here and there so it would stay in place. I also wanted them to lay sideways, and you know, they don't want to do that on their own. So you have to kind of force it a little bit with the hot glue. But I just love how easy this is, how great it turned out, and just what a nice little piece for your home. This could go in almost any room. I think I'm going to stage this in our living room. I just really, really like it. And you could put anything on the books that fits whatever you're trying to accomplish. Anyway, I hope you like it. Let me know what you think, and would you try something like this too? For this DIY hack, I'm going to use these really pretty butterfly stickers from the Dollar Tree. I just love them. I love the colors. And then I got this lantern at a thrift store for $3. Now it has the candle in it. As it turns out, the candle doesn't work. I even changed the batteries, but I have another one somewhere I can replace it with, so no big deal. And it's just like plastic, kind of. It's not a metal one, so I didn't really want to paint it. But it comes apart. In order to clean it, I had to take it apart. So I just used a flathead screwdriver and kind of pried the sides open, and that made the top easier to come off. And then everything else either pulls right out, or you just need a little Phillips head screwdriver, like those black pieces on the top. I just used a little screwdriver to take those out. And once I took the screws out, they came out really easy. And then I was able to pull the 4 glass pieces out. And I did clean the glass pieces with glass cleaner on both sides. They really needed it. And then it would have been really hard to clean the inside any other way if I didn't take it apart. And then there are screws on the bottom that make that little candle come out.
And so after I cleaned everything, I took it to the kitchen and just really doused it in the sink so I could really get it clean with a brush. I'm just going to put 2 stickers on each of the 4 panes of glass, just kind of any way I want. You could use any kind of stickers for this. I just thought it was really pretty. And then I put the glass back in, basically reassembled the whole thing. This is almost not a DIY, it's so easy. Put the candle back in. Now I know it's not working, but I'll figure that out later. I just wanted to get this one done. And then I just put the top back on. It just kind of snapped right back on. And what I decided to do is make a cute little like messy bow for the top so that I could use this for like, you know, Memorial, 4th of July, but you could change out the bow. I did put a little piece of a mop head kind of rope around that top so it has something to glue the bow to, because I just don't think it'll stick to that plastic very well. So I took a bunch of, you know, red, white, and blue ribbons that I had, most of them from Dollar Tree, and I think one might have been from Hobby Lobby, but I think those were all Dollar Tree. Anyway, I cut them into 6-inch strips, and then I just crisscrossed them, the biggest ones on the bottom, all the way up to the smallest ones towards the top. And then I'm going to take a little piece of white twine, and I'm just going to put it over and turn this over so that I can tie the knot in the back. And I'm just going to pull it as tight as I can and tie a knot. And then I'll start fluffing it. You fluff this thing every turn of this because it just wants to go back into place. So you just keep fluffing. You can fluff it forever. And then I'm going to put a little hot glue on the front. And I'm just going to put a piece of that red, white, and blue ribbon across the top and then attach it to the back. And then I'm going to take, that gives it a pretty little center. Again, it's a messy bow. You can do whatever you want. And then I'm just going to tie that around, and it kind of camouflages in that white mop head rope, and cut off the ends. And then I'll fluff again. And that's it. It was that easy. You could interchange this with any kind of bow you want, or no bow at all. You don't have to have a bow. Anyway, I love it. Let me know what you think.
Dollar Tree wood oval hack. I'm going to take one of those ovals and a little home sign cut out of wood. And then I picked up this little doggy tail at IKEA. I've done a previous craft with them. I'll link it in my description box. And then the burnt umber paint by Apple Barrel and the linen white Rust-Oleum chalk paint. I'm going to sand my wood round down, and then I'm going to remove the tag. And then I'm going to paint the entire front and sides with the linen white paint. I didn't do the back right away, and I really don't know why, because I did that on all the other ones, but I do go back and do it later. So anyway, using my heat tool to dry it. Then I'm going to take that burnt umber paint, I'm going to squeeze a little bit out, and I'm going to take a little piece of a drop cloth that I had cut up, and I'm going to wrap it around my finger, and I'm going to use it to rub on the burnt umber paint as though it were a stain. And once I get it on and it's fully covered, I will take the side of that piece and I will rub off any excess, and it will create a stain-like, finish for this. And that's exactly what I wanted. It also doesn't smell, and it's so much less expensive than buying stain. So I love this color for that. Now I'm going to take the little plaque, I'm going to kind of position the homeward where I want it, and the little doggy butt. And then I'm going to measure, because I want to put a nail in that's deep enough that it won't keep the little doggy butt off the surface of it, but it also holds it in place while the glue is drying. Just an extra security. So I'm just going to hammer that in once I figure out where. And I know exactly how deep I need it to be because I'm testing it right now, and you can see right there, I made it so it goes all the way to the surface of the plaque. Then I looked at the back, I put my sawtooth hanger on, and I realized I need to paint this. So I do. I paint it, and then I quickly dry it with my heat tool. Now I'm going to take the Beacon fabric tack glue, and I'm going to put it all across the back of the letters, and then I'll take a little brush and spread it out and make sure I don't have any, pieces that are kind of like hanging between the letters. And then I will attach that to the front of the little plaque. These little plaques are so versatile. You can do so many different things with them. And I'm going to put that down, give it a little pressure, and it will dry very quickly. Next, I'm going to take some E6000, and I'm going to put that on the back of my little doggy butt hook. And I'm going to leave gaps between each little dot that I put on, because that's where the hot glue is going to go, just to help it dry faster
so that I can keep working. This was a triple whammy, a nail, E6000, and hot glue. It's not going anywhere. Now I'm making this for my mom because when I made my other one with the 3 little doggy butts, she wanted one so bad. By the way, she doesn't have any animals, she just wants it. And then I noticed I forgot to do that little back part that's hanging over, so I went with burnt umber and I got that taken care of. And that's it. How cute is this? I absolutely love it. I'm sure my mom's gonna love it. And you have to let me know what you think. Dollar Tree wood oval hack. Well, first of all, this piece has some weird dents in it. They're never the same. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to use one of those oval thicker pieces and this little succulent planter that had a magnet on the back and then a succulent. It's not the one that came with it. And then my moss and celery chalk paint by Waverly. Around the outside edge, not the very top, I'm going to use the moss colored. I'm going to dry it with my heat tool so I can move on. Then I'm going to take the celery color and I'm going to do the whole front. And then on the back, I'm going to do the moss again. I just thought that would look really nice. And of course, I like to finish my backs. And then I'm going to take some polyurethane finish and I'm going to put it all over the entire piece. Then I'm going to take a little sawtooth hanger that I got from Amazon. Just going to put it on there before I go any further. Now I'm going to take some of the rope that I got from Walmart and I'm just going to hot glue it around that edge. That way I didn't have to be so perfect about my painting on the edge. So just one strand all the way around. I'm going to use hot glue to attach that. Then I'm going to take that little container and I'm going to use the hot glue and I'm just going to put the rope or twine all the way around it and I'm just going to keep going around and around. Actually, I'm going to go around the first time and then I'm going to go just like a U-shaped over and over until it gets to the very middle and that finishes it off, which I'll skip ahead here so you don't have to watch me gluing everything. But I did want a piece along the back there so you wouldn't see the plastic. So then I'm going to cut that piece off and see how I went around and around, but the edges at the top are rough. So I'm going to put some more pieces just around the top to kind of finish that off. It'll take about 3 pieces around to make it look done. And it's so cute. So I'm going to hot glue that right there onto the little oval. And that little copper looking flower, I didn't end up using that. And then I'm going to play around and see which is the best way to put my succulent in. And then I'm going to take a combination of reindeer moss and a little bit of the green moss. I'm just going to put it inside the little container or vase. And then I'm going to put the succulent right in there. Now, after this was done, I felt like it needed to be a little different. So I then took another one of those little containers and I painted it with the moss color and then I dry brushed with the white over the top and around the other on the outside. And I'm going to use that other one. I'm going to make a little beehive out of it. Can you see it? Anyway, this was easy. Let me know what you think or which one is your favorite. For this Dollar Tree wood oval hack, I'm going to take this wood oval and then I've got these gorgeous rub-on transfers redesigned by Prima. I got them from Chalk It Up Fancy. They have a YouTube channel and a website, which I will link below because they're awesome. And then I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white paint. I'm going to paint the entire front and back of this piece and dry it with my heat tool. You know I do that just so I can keep moving. But you guys know I'm impatient. And now moving on to the back. And then I'm going to take some Waverly ink paint, which is black, and I'm just going to paint around the edges, everything but the very flat top. And then I'm going to take some Mod Podge and cover flat front surface. I'm going to add a sawtooth hanger on the back. Got that at Amazon. And then there's the transfer that I decided to use. It's the cow that shows you all the parts of it that are,
what we eat that's meat. Well, it's all meat, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I thought it was super cute for my little farmhouse kitchen. Now I'm just trying to find the exact positioning for it, because once you set it down, there's no turning back. So you have to have it in the right spot. I'm going to use a little scraper tool. And of course, I'm not going to show you how long I really did, but I really went over this thing. And then I very slowly pulled it off to make sure everything was adhering. And it did. So I was able to keep going. Otherwise, I would have laid it down and scraped a little more. Now I'm going to use my hand and burnish. You can also use a very soft cloth for that as well, but you definitely want to do that step whenever you do any kind of transfers. And then I'm going to use my Minwax 1-Coat polyurethane top coat, and I'm just going to put that all over the entire piece, front and back. And you guys, it's so cute. I love it. Wood oval round hack. I'm going to take one of the oval rounds, of course. And then I found these lemons at IKEA, and they were on sale from $4.99 to $3.59. And there's quite a few in there, and I thought that was a pretty good deal. And then I've got some, little leaves that left over from some pics and some other ones. And then my burnt umber paint by Apple Barrel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mister that I got on Amazon. I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt umber paint. I'm going to mist all over my little wood oval, and then I'm just going to start putting the burnt umber on there. And what it does is it just glides over the top and it waters it down, and then you can move it around very easily and get the desired look that you want. So then I turned it around, got the other side with some of the mist, and just continued on. And you just keep adding more and more of the burnt umber paint until you get the look you want. If it's too light, add more of the paint. If it's too dark, add more of the water. And this is such a nice way of doing this to give it that really nice stained look, but without the wood absorbing it too quickly. I'm going to take my heat tool and dry it. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the back, but I don't need to be quite as careful about it because the back, you won't see it very much. And then I'm going to put the polyurethane 1-Coat all over the front and back. Once that dries, I'm going to take these larger wood beads that I got on Amazon, and I'm going to put them, there's no corners, but if there were, put 4 of them on the bottom. And I'm going to use a combination of E6000 and hot glue so that it will dry right away with the hot glue and then stay very well with the E6000. And here we go. I'm just going to do that with all 4 of what becomes my little legs, but they're the little wooden beads. And I'm going to keep them natural. I think it's a nice contrast. Now I'm going to put the hole against the wood so that when it's sitting down, you don't see the bottom hole because it's laying on top of it. It's the best way, I think, to put them. Plus, it gives it a little bit of more of a flat surface to lay on. And I can squeeze that hot glue right into that hole so it oozes out when I turn it over, and that'll help with the hold. There we go. So now I have a little riser. Now I could have made it taller, but I like those beads a lot. So I'm going to take 3 of these lemons. Now, I thought they were going to be styrofoam and I was going to cut them. Now listen to this. Oh my gosh, had no idea. They were like golf balls. Seriously, they felt like golf balls. So now I'm going to hot glue this greenery right on into the middle. And then I'm going to tack down each of the 4 leaves because I want them to lay a little more flat. The lemons are going to be sitting up high enough. And then I'm going to do again E6000 and hot glue combination with the 3 lemons and place them where I want. And then those last 2 little greenery picks, I'm just going to kind of hot glue them in between some of the lemons. This is so cute. You could set this on a shelf, on a tier tray. It's just adorable, honestly. It could be on another riser. It's so cute and festive and bright. I love it for my kitchen, and I cannot wait to style it with all of the rest of my spring things. And if I want, this could stay up through the summer as well because it's just so bright and cheery. I don't know what it is about lemons. It's like lemons and oranges. They're just so fresh. Anyway, I really love that look. And I don't know, just makes you kind of happy. Makes me think of lemonade. Tell me what you think. How would you have done this? Would you do the same thing I did? Or would you have made it taller? It's also something that you could make 2 levels if you wanted by adding something taller between. Dollar Tree hack, I'm going to use this flat oval wood piece. It's not as thick as the other one. And I'm going to show you the difference right here between the two, but they're both still oval and they're still wood. You can find these at Family Dollar also. And then I ordered these half beads on Amazon. They're in my Amazon store. And then these are stickers I got at Walmart. And then I have some rub-on transfer letters from the Dollar Tree. And what I'm going to do is create a sign to put outside of our bathroom. It's going to say the loo, which I think is super cute. It's what they say in England, and I just love that. I'm going to use my heat tool from Amazon to take off the tags. And then I'm going to use my sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree to sand down the wood. And now I'm just going to take my half beads and place them all around. I'm going to kind of start with the four edges, if you will, and then work my way in and try to make it so that they'll be evenly spaced. And then I'm going to use some wood glue. And I'm just going to place them one at a time. I'm going to use a little brush to put it on there so I don't get a lot of excess. I'm just going to go ahead and place them all the way around until I get them all. And then the last one I had to sand around the edges a little bit to make it fit because it was super tight, but it worked. And there it is, all done. Now I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white paint. I'm going to do 2 coats on the front and back. And I'm going to work my way through all those beads, all around the edges and in the little nooks and crannies. And then once it all dries, I'm going to use my polyurethane clear coat to go ahead and put that on the top. But first, I'm going to take my letters. I want to use my Waverly ink chalk paint, which is black. I'm going to do 2 coats on the letters, get all the way around the edges. And I use tape to attach them to that paper so they don't move around, especially when I dry them. And then I'll do that second coat. And there is that polyurethane. I'm going to put that on there as well. And here we go with that for the oval piece. I just want to make sure that there's a nice smooth surface for my rub-on transfers to stick to. And I'm going to use a little ruler and just try to find my center. And with these, I'm just using my fingernail because they're so small. And then I use my little Cricut weeding tool to pull off the plastic. And then always remember to rub down on top and burnish them so that there's no edges that are still sticking up. Because believe it or not, if there are, it can become a problem later. Now I'm going to position my word loo and just try to figure out how I'm going to put that on there. And I'm going to use my Beacon Fabric Tack glue to attach those right there. That way I control how much goes on and there won't be anything like really oozing out of the sides. I didn't want to do hot glue for this. I really want to make sure it's stuck on there long term. This is so cute. I've got this piece that can go on the wall and then you can attach the sign so it's sticking out, not flat on the wall or on the door, but sticking out. I don't know if the piece I have is going to work. If not, I'll try to rig something. So for this video, I won't be able to show you that hanging up on the wall, but in the meantime, at least you'll get to see it. This was super easy. It's so cute. And I absolutely love it. I've seen people do powder room signs or bathroom, but I thought the loo was a little different. And I absolutely love it. I hope you guys like it too. That's the piece I was talking about. It's a very heavy metal, so I'm not sure if it's going to work. I may have to pick something a little bit lighter, but that's how it would look sideways.
From the Dollar Tree. They come in a stack of 4 for $1.25. I actually found them also at Dollar General. They were still $1. I'm not sure how long that will last. Anyway, I only need 1 for this hack, so I'm just going to take 1 of them, and I have this mixture of like a gray paint, a chalk paint with baking soda added to it because I wanted to create kind of like a texture, make it thicker. So I'm putting that on the outside of the bowl, drying it off with my heat tool from Amazon, and then I can see I definitely need to add more. So I do a second coat and I'm just plopping it on there, kind of dabbing it because I want to make sure it gets in all those little cracks and crevices, and I still see a little bit of spaces, so I am going to go over it one more time and do a little bit more, and then that's it. If I maybe had made it a little thicker, I added a little too much water, I think, but that's okay. 3 coats and it was done. So I'm going to dry it off and then move on to the next step. I'm going to use my moss colored chalk paint from Waverly. I'm going to make like an ombre. So on the very bottom and over the edge, I'm going to do the moss color. Once I finish all of the moss, I'm going to take the celery color chalk paint
And I'm going to blend it where the moss ends purposely, so that makes that middle color, if you will. And then I will dip my brush very heavily in the celery paint to do the bottom so it'll be lighter. And it does create an ombre effect. It just naturally kind of blends in the middle between the two colors. And I love that look so much. And that all these greens are gorgeous. I just love them. I'm going to let that dry. And then I've got these salt and pepper shakers, and they were also $1 for 2. Found out about Family Dollar from She's So Crafty, and I'll link the video where she talks about it down below. It's awesome. So I'm adding these little stones that I got from the Dollar Tree. I'd put a ribbon on there, but I realized I needed to wait to put it back on, so I wanted the lid on there. So now I'm just reattaching the ribbon. I had used my Beacon Fabric Tack glue for that, so it wasn't dry yet. Easy fix. And then I'm going to put a combination of Aleene's Tacky Blue and Hot Glue on there. And I'm going to turn the bowl over and attach that right to the middle of the bottom of the bowl. Wait for that hot glue to dry and then carefully turn it over. And what I'm going to do is take some more of those stones. And then I've got 3 gorgeous succulents from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to put them in there. You guys, that's it. This could not be easier, and it's so pretty. And the reason I kept the lid on the salt or pepper shaker is so I could unscrew it and change out if I wanted to change the look. Didn't have to glue anything in. It's just easy to change for seasons or whatever you want. I love this one. You have to tell me what you think. Easy, easy, easy. What an awesome Dollar Tree hack. Bowl hack is so cute. Got one bowl, and then I've got that rope from Walmart, which, by the way, it's very inexpensive. The celery colored chalk paint, and I'm just going to paint the inside of the bowl. There's really no reason to paint the outside because it's going to be covered with the rope. Of course, use my heat tool to dry it, and then I'm going to use some Mod Podge for the inside. That way, if I put things in this bowl, they won't scratch the paint. Now I've turned the bowl over, and I'm going to take my hot glue and take the rope, and I've slowed it down so you can see I'm just going to kind of start winding it around itself, almost look like a flat little spiral. You'll see it in a second. And then I'm going to set that right on that little bit of hot glue that I put there. And I'm going to start what will be a spiral going around and around and around to cover the entire bowl. And you'll see right when I lift my hands what the start of it looks like. And then I will just keep adding hot glue, and I'll just go around and around. And I do use hot glue for the entire thing. I don't want part of it to lift up. I think that's risky in this particular situation. And then I'll skip ahead and show you when I've got a little bit more of it done. It's looking really nice. And then I'm going to take 2 pieces of rope, and I made them the same size, and I'm going to attach them with hot glue, one to each side, and it will become the handle. And once it's attached, I will continue wrapping the rope around, and that way you won't even see where I've attached the handle. I mean, there'll be a little kind of bump in the rope, which you will see at the end, but it looks really cool. And so this is just the best way to secure that, and that way no matter what, that rope is on there really good. And if there's something a little bit heavier in the bowl, it will be able to handle it. No pun intended. The handles can handle it. Anyway, and if you notice there's a little crack in my bowl, I don't know how I did that, but it's going to be wrapped in the rope, so it's really going to be stable when it's all said and done. So now the second handle's on, and I'm going to continue the wrapping around and around. I won't show you the whole thing. And there it is. So I think that looks really nice, and it just makes it much more secure. And then I'm going to take these 2 corks, and I'm going to cut them to the same size. I end up taking another one, and I'm going to use these to make legs for the bottom of this bowl. And I just think it's so cute. Makes it very rustic. I'm going to take a pen and mark where I want them to be so I don't forget, and get them on there pretty evenly. And then I'm going to use E6000 and a little bit of hot glue to secure each one so that it will stay in place while I finish this project. Now, because they're not all the same color, I took some cashew and hazelnut chalk paint by Waverly and I mixed them together. I'm trying to get a color that complements the cork color. So I end up adding some antique wax, and then I really like what it looked like. And I'm just going to paint the very bottom of the legs and a little band around the bottom and leave the cork for the rest of it. And I think that is just a really nice look. It almost came out kind of khaki. I love this one. So easy. I hope you like it. Tree bowl hack, I'm going to use this candle from the Dollar Tree. These 3 flowers I took off a pick from the Dollar Tree. And then this was from a pick I got at Walmart, and these are also from the Dollar Tree. I don't end up using those little pink kind of berry ones. I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white paint, and I'm just going to take one bowl and I'm going to paint the entire outside. And I will do several coats because I want to make sure that it's very solid. I'm going to dry it with my heat tool that I got from Amazon. That thing is a lifesaver. And then I'm going to use some Mod Podge and cover the entire bowl. I just want to seal in that paint, mostly because I am going to be resting the glass candle holder. Now I'm going to take a little bit of twine and some Beacon fabric tack glue, and I'm just going to put it all around the it's the top edge of the bowl, but for this particular DIY or hack, it is going to be the very bottom. And I'm just going to put that around the entire edge. I'm going to start snipping off the little, like the leaves with the yellow kind of flowers on them, because that's the only part I'm going to use of that pick. And then I'm going to take those little pieces I cut off of a Walmart pick, and I'm going to turn the bowl upside down. Well, actually, in this case, right side up. And I'm just going to hot glue one piece at a time right on there and just kind of hold it till it sticks. I'm going to overlap them because I want that to be a really nice kind of coverage going all around the bowl. It's going to look like a little wreath or a centerpiece in this case, but it'll definitely have that wreath look. And I'm just loving how this is already starting to look. And there we go. All of those are on. I do fill in a couple gaps here and there. And once I do, I'm going to take some hot glue and some rope from Walmart, and I'm just going to put it all the way around, and that's going to help secure those pieces on not just the bottom, but over the bottom and the top of them, whichever way you're looking at it. But that's one of the reasons I put the rope around the bowl in the first place, was that so it would have something to glue it to. I don't think those plastic bowls would be enough to just put those little picks on. Then I'm going to take those little pieces with the little like yellow flowery parts on them, and I cut them up into very small little pieces. I'm going to put them one at a time. I'm just going to kind of put glue on the end and shove them right in between the other pieces, and they stand up a little bit so it gives it a little bit of height and more texture. I'm going to take my little snips, and I'm just going to take any really pointy pieces from those little teeny picks and cut them off. The ones from the bigger leaf picks are just fine. They're kind of rounded. And there it is. It looks really pretty now. And then I'm going to take the 3 flowers that I have. I pulled off the leaves, so there's just a little point on them. And I'm going to put them around this centerpiece wreath. And then I'll put a little dab of hot glue on the other side where it pokes through, just to solidify that it's in there. I'll do the same with all 3 of these. And of course, those glue webs are driving me crazy. You have to tell me in the comments if they drive you crazy too. I've tried everything. The heat tool, a brush, you name it, they're still there. And there it is. I'm loving how it looks, and there's the candle on it. This was so easy. Dollar Tree hack using these bowls. I'm actually going to use 2 of them. I'm going to take E6000 and my hot glue, and I'm going to attach them bottom to bottom. So first I'll put the E6000 on, and I will leave space to do the hot glue. I don't like them to touch if I can help it, because the E6000 cools down the hot glue too fast and then it doesn't work. So there we go. And now I'm just going to attach them. And I was trying to line up the pattern. It wasn't as easy as I thought, because you know how it is at Dollar Tree. No 2 things are ever the same. I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white paint, and I'm going to cover this whole entire thing, including the top inside, because if I don't, the area where you see where I glued it will show. So I'm going to do one side, use my heat tool to dry it off from Amazon, and then I will do the other side. And I do some touch-ups, so it's not a full 2 coats, but it probably is almost 2 coats. I just love that bright white. It's so pretty. Of course, I am going to change that. And now I'm doing the inside so that you don't see that one part. You don't have to do it on the bottom too, just on the top. Then I'm going to go in with my elephant colored paint from Waverly. It's a very dark gray, and I'm going to use a very wide brush. I forget what those brushes are called. If anyone knows, please tell me in the comments, because I'm drawing a blank. And it's really good for this kind of distressing, because you just get a little bit on your brush and you're basically dry brushing, but it's like a fan I think that's what it is, a fan brush. Anyway, I love the way it looks. And I am going to do the inside of the top. You won't really ever see the bottom, but I'm going to do the inside of the top too. And I love the way this is coming out. You guys, this is easy. Seriously. This is such a fast, easy DIY. I had a shoelace that we weren't using, so I cut off the little end and then I wrapped it around and got the right size. And I'm using my Beacon Fabric-Tac glue to attach it all the way around the middle, and it's a perfect kind of garnish or trim for this project. And then I've got these ferns from the Dollar Tree, and I thought, why cut up 3 just to get the ends? I'll take 1, cut it into thirds, and then use my scissors and make it look like they're each ends by cutting it to a point. You'll see what I'm going to do right here. See that? So I just do that on the 2 that I cut off, and then of course the first one was already like that. Way to go. Now I've got 3 end pieces, and I only had to use 1 piece of the fern. And then I've got this gorgeous pink flower. Not sure what it is, but it's really pretty. It had yellow in the middle, so I wanted to add these little pieces that I had left over from Walmart pics. And I'm going to put 3 of those in there, and it just didn't look right sitting by itself. So I grabbed some Spanish moss that I had on hand, put it in there, and then I just set them in there. I didn't even glue it in case I want to change it out, and it's so pretty. How easy is this? This Dollar Tree bowl hack, I'm going to take 1 bowl, and these napkins, I think I got these at Hobby Lobby. They are 3-ply, which means you have to remove 2 plies. I'm going to use some Mod Podge. We'll be doing some decoupaging. So there's layer 1, and a little tougher to remove, but there is layer 2, and that leaves me with the 3rd ply, in this case the top that has the little sea creatures or sea animals on it. I'm going to cut them out with like fussy cutting. I'm just going to put them with some Mod Podge on the inside of the bowl, just kind of place them around, sort of in a pattern, I guess. I'll lay a coat of the Mod Podge down, then I'll place some in the bottom of the bowl. I'm just going to put the other ones kind of in 4 places around the inside of the bowl, and you'll see me doing that here. Always layer Mod Podge first, especially with very thin napkins. And then I'll put some over the top once that dries, so I don't move the napkins around and smudge the whole thing up. I am going to put more Mod Podge inside the bowl just to cover everything so it doesn't look funny that some parts have it and some parts don't. And then when I dry it with my heat tool, you can't even see the Mod Podge, and it looks really cool. Obviously this is a coastal theme DIY. Got these seashells from the Dollar Tree, and I found this little piece of glass at the Habitat for Humanity restore. I'm not really sure what it was for, maybe a candle, but I'm going to end up attaching it to the bottom of the bowl. But first I'm going to fill up that little glass bowl with the seashells. Just try to arrange them so you can see the seashells well, and some of them were too big, so I kind of just cherry picked the ones I really like. Once I have them all in there, you can see them through the glass. They look really cute. Before I attach it, I'm going to take some of my white chalk paint and just paint around the very tip edge of the bowl. I just thought that kind of finished it off and made it look really nice. I'm going to take my E6000, and if you like that little twisty thing I have for it, that's in my Amazon store. I love that thing. I'm going to put some E6000 around the edge, and then in the gaps where I didn't put it, I'm going to put some hot glue, and that way it'll stay together while the E6000 cures. Turn the bowl upside down, and I'm just going to place that right in the center of the bottom of the bowl. Then I wanted to put something where they meet each other, so I've got this white rope. Actually, it's a piece of a Dollar Tree mop head. I thought that made it look kind of coastal too, so I just hot glued that all the way around there. And then I decided to take some rope from Walmart, and I'm going to put some above the white rope and below it so it kind of lines it. And I think that's a really cool look for the coastal theme. And then I add a little bit to the very bottom of the glass bowl too. I just thought that finished it off. I really think this is cute, and talk about easy. Oh my gosh. Such an easy piece. It'll go nicely in my bedroom, which is the only room in my house that has coastal. This would be a great thing to throw jewelry, knickknacks, whatever in, and have it sitting like on the dresser. I hope you guys like this one. What a great Dollar Tree hack for this bowl. If you enjoyed this video and this is your kind of thing, then definitely hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you can become part of my YouTube family and you'll always be notified when my next video goes live.
Dollar Tree calendar hack. I'm going to use the Enjoy the Little Things. That was a 2022 calendar. And I'm going to take all those little pieces on the back. I also have last year's calendar of this same one, and I'm going to take some pieces from there as well. And then I've got these 2 dice from the Dollar Tree. I was going to use them for something else, that's why they're sanded. And then I'm going to take my Kills primer, and I'm just going to go kind of around those edges and the corners because the paper is going to cover the rest of it. So there you go. Now I'm going to take my Celery Chalk Paint by Waverly, and I'm just going to paint over where I did the white. Now I cut all the pieces, or I'm going to cut all the pieces really tight with my paper cutter off screen. I just wanted you to see which ones I picked, and there are going to be 12 because there's 6 for each dice. And there I am cutting them down. Now I realize I probably need to cut off the corners, so I did that. I'm going to take some Mod Podge, put a generous amount on there, and just make sure it gets all around the edges, and I'm going to attach each piece. I'm going to mist the pieces of the calendar first just to make the paper a little more pliable. I was inspired by Courtney at Creative on the Cheap. She made these cute dice to make decisions, and I thought, what if I made some of these dice for affirmations? I'll link her video and channel down below. I'm going to rub and rub and rub, and then I'm going to add a bunch more Mod Podge on that. I just want to make sure that it lays down flat. And it does if you're patient and you just keep rubbing over it. And there they are. They're all covered now. But I feel like you can see the edges of the paper. So I'm going to take a little chalk marker from the Dollar Tree and I'm just going to write all over those edges on both of the cubes for every one of those little pieces of the calendar paper. And I think it kind of gives it just a little more muted look on the edges, and I'm very happy with that. You can still see the little bit of the celery color in the corners, which is fine. And then I'm going to put a very heavy coat of Mod Podge all over the entire thing. I think this is so fun. If you just need a little encouragement or some affirmations, just roll the dice and it'll tell you something very positive and uplifting. And you know what? You can use that to make your day better. This Dollar Tree calendar DIY hack is so easy. I'm using the Simply Blessed calendar, and I'm going to take from the back cover the larger piece that we're showing you an example of the month, and I'm just going to cut that out, and it's so cute. It's got lemons, it's very summery, and it says enjoy the simple things. And I found this really cool glass frame at the Dollar Tree, and then I've got this scrapbook paper from Walmart, and I'm picking out this yellow and white one. It's got a pattern in the background. It's probably hard to see. Anyway, so I'm just going to take this apart. It's got 2 panes of glass inside, and what I'm going to do is remove the backing and then take the 2 pieces of glass out and then separate them, and I'm going to use that piece of paper that's stuck on there, and I'm going to use that as a guide to cut out my scrapbook paper. I'm going to go ahead and clean off the glass first. There was a little bit of sticky stuff there. And I'm just going to turn it on the back and use a pencil to trace around that shape, and then I'll cut that out. And that'll become like a layer for the backing of my picture. And there you see I've got that right there. And then I'm going to take my little picture from the back of the calendar and lay it right over the top. And I'm going to use my special tape roller that I got on Amazon. It should be in my Amazon store. I love this thing. No wet glue. Oh my gosh. So easy to use and no mess. You cannot beat that. And I'm just going to go ahead and stick that right in the center there, just eyeballing it. Now, the problem with me eyeballing is that I don't see straight, and so my picture ended up being a little crooked. But I'm going to use my Beacon Fabric Tack glue and just kind of put those edges down on the glass to make sure it stays in place. I'm going to put the other piece of glass over the top. I've cleaned all the panes of glass. And then I'm going to put them back in the frame and assemble it. I told you this was easy. It's so easy. And then I'm going to clean the glass again because I keep touching it with my fingers. And I'm just using rubbing alcohol to clean it. It works very well. And that's it. How cute is that? I love this one. So easy, so inexpensive. Oh my gosh. And when I took the pictures outside, it was so humid that the glass fogged up. So sorry about that. Anyway, you saw it before and you know how cute it really is. But I hope you guys like this one. For this Dollar Tree calendar hack, I am going to do something different. I'm going to take this page. I forgot which calendar it came out of. Sorry about that. But it was just a cute beach sign. And you know what? I'm going to use it as inspiration. I have this little sign. I got it like a long time ago. And I had already painted it white. It used to be gray. And I'm going to remove those little clips. And I'm going to recreate that beach sign as best as I can. And what I'm going to do first is take a pencil, and I'm going to, just by looking at it, try to recreate those letters. And I think I did pretty good. You know, it's kind of a rough surface to write on. And then I'm going to have to put my arrow to the right because there's just not enough room down there. Anyway, then I have like a Dremel. It's basically actually a kit for doing like acrylic nails, but I just put an attachment on the end that would be perfect for this. And I am just literally going to go over all of the letters that I drew out with my little Dremel tool. And then I've got the word beach with the arrow on there. And you guys, this was so easy. I could have used a scrap piece of wood. I just happened to have this sign, and I thought, you know what? I'm not using it, and there's just no reason to keep the clips on it. And look at that. It came out so cute. I'm going to mix so many different colors of acrylic paint and chalk paint that I'm not even going to list them, because you know what? You can do this any color you want. I just kept messing with it. I bet I even have a paint color at the end that it was without having to mix, but you know what? Live and learn. So I just keep adding colors until I kind of get what I like. And like I said, do whatever you want. Use any kind of blue or I don't know, just either ocean color or sand color, something that goes along with that coastal theme. And guess what? This is going to go in my bedroom. Anyway, I'm taking a little paintbrush and I'm actually just dabbing it on, because you can't spread paint on this. It's too rough of a surface. It's very rough wood. And so I sped this up because who needs to watch me paint? We all know what that looks like. But there you go. Now you can see it. And you guys, I'm going to dry it with my heat tool from Amazon. And I just love this already. And then because the paint went over the edges a little, I'm just going to take the Dremel and go back over the edges and clean up the paint. And look at it. I honestly love this one. You'll have to let me know what you think. It's so cute. And I just got inspired by a picture on a calendar from Dollar Tree. So next time you look at your calendars, you never know. Are you ready for another super easy Dollar Tree calendar hack? So this calendar that I'm showing you right now has one of the months with these watermelon pictures, which are so cute. And I just thought, you know what? I could make a little watermelon garland. So I cut them all out. And then I've got this faux leather from burlingtonfabric.com, and I'm going to use that on the back. So I'm just going to use my Beacon Fabric Tack glue, and I'm going to glue it right on to the back side of the faux leather. And I'm going to cut it out again. And then one side will be the little paper picture from the calendar, and then the back side will be that faux leather. Now it's in gray. That's the color I have, that in brown. I wish it was green. But what I decided to do was well, first I'm going to take some Mod Podge. Sorry, and I'm going to go over each one on the front to protect the paper, and that just real fast, and then let it dry. Then I'm going to use a green jot marker from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to go over the back. You could use paint markers, whatever you have, but because of the leather, faux leather texture, it comes out so cool. So I did that to all of them. And I'll show you up close here. I got to dry them off because it gets on your fingers, otherwise all the ink. But I will bring that up closer. Do you see that texture? There's my little watermelon rind, and then I've got this green and white twine, and then this is my crocodile. I got this on Amazon. It's in my store, and I can cut so easily right through this because that way I can string this little garland with the twine. So I'm just going to make a hole on each side just below the little rind on the watermelon, and I needed to put a little glue on the end just to kind of thicken up that end and make it stiff, and then it goes right through the hole, no problem. So I'm only going to show you me stringing one, because then we all know what that looks like, and I strung them all. And how cute is that? It could go on a tiered tray or just anywhere. It's just a short little garland, but I love it, and I think it just came out so cute. Absolutely easy, no sewing involved, nothing, and it's sturdy because of the faux leather. So let me know if you would try something like this. Dollar Tree has faux leather too. For this Dollar Tree calendar hack, I am going to use 8 4x6 frames from the Dollar Tree. They don't even have to be the same because I'm only going to use the glass. And then from this 2020 Inspirational Quotes calendar, I'm going to take 4 pictures that I really like, and I'm going to use the glass to cut out the portions of the picture that I would like. I've seen these glass tile pictures. They're usually bigger than this, but I wanted to try it on something small. And I'm just going to reassemble the frame and use that later for another project. So there are all 8 pieces of the glass. Now I'm going to find the spot I want that doesn't have words on it, but it captures the essence of the picture, and I'll trace that piece of glass on there, and then I'll cut each of those out for all 4 of those pictures. And it reminds me of those nature glass tiles that people are getting that are so expensive. Now, I realize this isn't quite as high-end as that, but it was cute. And I thought if you couldn't afford the other one, this is a great idea. And if you're also not a photographer, which I am not, I could never take pictures that look like this. Anyway, I need to put something on the back so that the lines on the calendar don't show. So I found this really pretty burgundy colored scrap of paper from Walmart that I had on hand, and I'm just going to attach it, the burgundy side, against the back of the calendar page, and that way you will never see the lines. There's another little hack for you. And then I'm just going to use my little tape roller to put on the back of each of the pictures and then attach that to the front of the scrapbook paper. I hope that makes sense, but you can see what I'm doing. And like I said, that keeps it from being see-through. And it's okay that the back is white, it doesn't really matter. And I'm just trimming things with my paper trimmer as I need to go. And then what I'm going to do is figure out the best way to adhere this. So I did an experiment on an extra piece of glass I had. And I tried Mod Podge, Beacon Fabric Tack Glue, Beacon Spray Adhesive, and the tape to see which shows the least. And it was the Beacon Fabric Tack Glue that showed the least. So just so you know, I wanted to try that experiment. So I'm just going to put a dot of glue, very small, on each of the corners of the very back of the picture and the paper that I put together, and then I can attach that directly to the back glass, and then I'll do the same thing on the front and put the front glass on. And I just think they're really cute. Now, if you had your own real photographs or somebody else's real photographs, it would probably look even better than a calendar page. I've got this gold and white twine, and I'm just going to make a little hanger and put some very, very sticky packing tape over that in the back. And I didn't have a chance to hang anything, but I just wanted to show you what they look like. I think they're super cute. And if I had thicker glass, I actually think they would even look more high-end. So just an experiment, and I'm happy with how it turned out. For this Dollar Tree calendar hack, I'm going to use this 2022 farmhouse calendar, and that is actually the picture I'm going to use. It was one of the months. And then I've got this piece that I got from the Goodwill. I got it for $3.99, plus it was a pink tag day, so I got some 10% off. I'm going to clean it with my crud cutter, and then I'm going to cover the whole top with the Plaster Color Paint by Waverly. I love that color. It's perfect for something rustic. It's not stark white. Then I'm going to take antique wax and this old makeup brush that I got at the Dollar Tree a long time ago that's seen better days, but it's perfect for dry brushing, where you put a little bit on your brush, wipe most of it off, and then kind of drag it across, and it gives it that old aged, weathered look, which is what I'm going for here. I'm just going to go ahead and go around the edges and make sure that those are a little bit distressed as well, and it kind of bleeds over to the front. Then I'm going to take my square ruler, and I'm going to measure every 1.5 inches. I'm going to put a little spot. I'm going to do it on each of the ends and in the middle, because my square isn't as long as this piece, and I want to be able to draw straight lines. And I'm going to use the pencil and basically draw shiplap lines. And then I'm going to just take my finger and smudge the pencil. And if it gets too dark, you can go back in with a little, paper towel, just kind of damp, and wipe off the excess, which I do. And then, because I didn't want it to be quite that dark, I'm going to go back over with that plaster, just lightly dry brushing it over the top to mute out a little bit of those lines. I'm going to fussy cut out the word farmhouse. See, it took a while, but it was well worth it. And I'm also going to cut out the wreath. I am going to go back and cut out the center of the wreath as well. I'm going to use my Mod Podge. I'm just going to start laying down the Mod Podge and then placing my letters over it. A couple of them broke apart, so I have to put them on individually. But this is something you can do if you don't have a cutting machine and you don't like the font on stickers, but you love the font on the calendar page. So I just thought this was so cute. I loved it. And then I'm just going to put Mod Podge all over the top. And that is that for the word. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the wreath, but I'm going to turn this into a 3D wreath. I'm going to use some actual greenery and embellish it. But now I'm going to go all over the whole rest of the sign with the Mod Podge, because I want it all to have a nice seal on it. Now I'm going to take these little boxwood pieces, and then I've also got some other little picks. I think one of them is eucalyptus, I think. I always say the wrong one. Anyway, you guys know what they are, right? I'm going to start hot gluing them on. I clip the pieces off the pick, and then I have all these little extra pieces that I'm going to fill in with. And that way you get a couple colors, and look how cute it is. I love this one. I think it turned out so cute. You have to tell me what you think. I love adding something to a flat sign and making it kind of three-dimensional. It just gives it just a little more interest, and it looks like a real wreath is on there. And yeah, of course I could have done that, but I like the way it turned out. For this next Dollar Tree calendar hack, I'm going to use the 2021 Farmers Market calendar and the month that has the fresh squeezed lemonade. I got this cutting board for $3.99 at the Goodwill. Now I'm going to start sanding it because it's got a couple of spots on it that I don't like. I end up staining it, but I'm going to cut each piece based on those planks. I had a plan when I first started, but I ended up abandoning it, so I start off doing it this way. And then I decided to take my X-Acto knife and fussy cut around everything. You'll see, there it is. It took a while, but I just put a video or two on and that was it. Now I'm gonna take my wood finish by Minwax. It's called Weathered Oak. And I'm just gonna go ahead and stain the whole thing. This is after I sanded it. This really helps with getting the tone that I wanted on it and making it look more even. I'm gonna do that to both sides. Then I'm gonna use my Minwax polyurethane and I'm gonna use that for my decoupaging of the stuff I cut out. So I'm gonna put a coat underneath, lay down, I'm doing it in sections, lay down the letters in the picture, and kind of push it down lightly with my finger, and then I will go back over the top with the polyurethane. And I'm going to do the same thing with the rest of it. I'm just kind of lining up the pieces, where they matched up, because originally I was going to do them as planks, and then I realized, nah, but I love how it turned out. What do you think? I am getting into cutting boards lately. I'm starting a little display in my kitchen of all different shapes and sizes. So this is one of the many cutting boards that I have to work with. So you'll be seeing more of them. I just love them. I love decorating with them. For this next hack, I'm going to use the 2022 Thankful, Grateful, and Blessed calendar. And I'm going to use the mason jar page. And I have a little mason jar sign that is from the Dollar Tree. So at first, I was going to just use the whole shape of the mason jar. So I cut it out, and then I stopped and thought about it. Now, I need to get off all of that paper on the front. Here's a little trick or a hack. I use packing tape. Just put it over it and look at you go all over it, and that's it. And I took off that burlap top while I was cleaning everything off. And I've got this contact paper from the Dollar Tree. It's really pretty. It's got some cool colors. So I just cut out a piece that's just slightly bigger than the mason jar. And I'm going to take a little bit, open the top up and lay it down, and then slowly pull from underneath and then rub it down as I go. That way I don't get any bubbles or wrinkles. And it's just a nice way to do it on a piece that's smaller like this. And I'm also going to rub over the top and just make sure that it is completely burnished onto that surface of the sign. I'm going to take my scissors and cut as much as I can pretty much off of the edges that's excess. But then I'm going to take a nail file from the Dollar Tree, and this is my trick, in a downward motion only, go around the whole thing, and it just separates, comes right off. And there is my surface to work with. So I did cut out a smaller piece without the lid and everything on that mason jar picture from the calendar. I'm going to use my little tape roller that I got from Amazon. It's so nice, no glue. I love this thing. I'm going to go around all the edges, and then I'm going to go over the inside, and it's going to make it so fast and easy to stick this down on the top. And I just love it. So it's kind of funny because it doesn't matter now that that picture was a mason jar, because it doesn't look like one anymore, but oh well, I just liked it. It's cute. And I like what it says. It's got cute little things on it. So now I'm gluing back on that little top. So I've got these two different ribbons from the Dollar Tree, and they're so pretty. One is floral, little yellow flowers, and one is this really pretty sage green. I'm just going to make two little awareness bows, one bigger than the other. I'm going to put the smaller one on top, and then I'm going to put a little pipe cleaner around the middle so it holds them in place. I was just using those little clamps to do that when I was making each one. And there they are. And then I'm going to take these two buttons. One is black, and then one is kind of a green color. You probably can't tell, but I'm going to glue them into the center, or onto the center with hot glue of the bows, and stack them right on there. And that looks so, so cute. And then I'm just going to hot glue the whole thing to the bow and then onto the mason jar. And I thought this was just a cute little way to dress this up. All the colors go together. It's harder to tell on camera, but in person, that contact paper had all of these colors in it. It's so many different colors, it's hard to see. But I'm just going to attach that right there, and then I'm going to tack down the little tails of the ribbons, which you just saw me dovetail a second ago. And there I am, just tacking them down, and that's it. You guys, this was so easy and very, very cute. And actually, everything was Dollar Tree on this one. I'm going to take a furniture marker and go around the edges, and that's it. I love it. I hope you guys like this one. It's so cute and fresh, and I love what it says, and it's just a nice little piece. It'll go with any decor. I'm going to be using two different calendars for this, the Farm Fresh 2022 and the Simply Blessed from 2021. Because on the back, the month of July has two cute little patriotic calendar pictures. And I've got these two little mini pails. I think they're like wedding favor pails from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to use the very back of the calendar and just use those little squares where they tell you what's going to be in the calendar. So I trimmed them up to make sure they would fit on my little buckets. This is so easy. I'm just going to take my Beacon fabric tack glue, put it on the back of the little calendar pieces, and then I'm just going to attach them right to the bucket. That's it. Do the same thing for each one. Seriously, they're the cutest little decor pieces. You could put them on a tier tray, on a shelf, anywhere you want. They are adorable. Then I'm going to Mod Podge over the top so that everything is sealed on there. And that takes just a couple of minutes. Then I've got these carnations from the Dollar Tree, white and red. And I'm just going to take one of each color off of the pick. And then I've got some foam from Packing Box, and I just cut up a little piece. And I'm going to cut that piece in half once I take it off. And I'm going to stick that in the bottom of the little bucket and then just put the flowers right in there. It does not get any easier than this, and it's so cute. I hope you guys like this one. I love it. This would be so cute if you were having like a 4th of July get together to make a bunch of these little favors, or just put them all over tables and everything. I think they're super cute and pretty versatile too. For this calendar hack, I'm going to use A New Day calendar from 2021 and the page that says, "This is the day the Lord has made, we will rejoice and be glad in it." And I've got this picture frame from Goodwill. It was $2. And I'm just going to take all the packaging off it and clean it with the crud cutter. And then I'm going to take it apart. I don't need any of that stuff on the inside for this one. In fact, I'm not even going to use the glass for this side because I'm going to use some mixed media, and so there's going to be some things on it that aren't flat. So I've decided, not to do that. And I'm going to save these little pieces that were on that backing because I might want to use them in the future. In fact, those 3 little hearts I am going to use in this project, but the moments and forever pieces I will save for another project. I'm going to figure out how big I can make my signs by just using the backing of the frame and then tracing around it. And then I would just use my paper cutter and just go ahead and cut those out because I really want to make sure that I get nice straight lines. And I'll be honest, I'm not very good at cutting a straight line without a paper cutter, I've noticed. I think I am until I measure, and then I'm not. I've got these little stamps that I got at a thrift store. And then I've also ordered on Amazon these little stamp pads. So anyway, I'm going to cut the little stamps out individually because it's easier to work with them. And I'm just going to randomly place some cute little things. They were spiritual themed stamps. Now, honestly, you could decorate your picture any way that you want. So I'm not going to worry too much about what my specific stamps were. I don't know if you can find these or not since I found them at a thrift store. But I know all the craft stores sell stamps, and there's so many cute ones. But I'm going to do something weird. I've got this pot holder that I got at Pop Shelf when I was visiting Jackie from Blessed Beyond Measure when I was in Tennessee. I'll put her channel down in the description. You should check her out. I am just going to use it. I love the little honeycomb shapes on it. So I'm just going to start putting it around the edges. And I'm going to do silver around like the bottom. And then I'll start doing gold over the top. And I'm going to use those little gold hearts on the bottom there. And I'm going to put some more stamps on because I started thinking I wanted this to just be really kind of busy and fun. And I've honestly never done this before, so I might have gone overboard. Maybe not. I don't know. You tell me. I like it. So I guess that's what matters, right? But there it is. I did all over, and I wanted you to see a little close-up. So now I'm hot gluing those little hearts on. This is one of those things, just use your imagination and put whatever you have on there and just have fun with it. This is a creative type of thing. And then I'm going to go over the letters in black where I might have stamped over them in a different color. And I just love how this turned out, and I framed it, and that's it. You guys, this turned out so cute. I can't believe that pot holder did such a good job with stamping. Sometimes you just got to look for things that aren't what you expect and then use those. I hope you like it.
For this Dollar Tree mirror, I am going to turn it into a faux wood looking piece. I'm going to use this Kills All-Purpose Primer first, and then my Antique Wax by Waverly. I'm just going to cover the center because all the reflection of the lights, and then my face while I'm concentrating. Who wants to see that? Anyway, I'm going to apply the primer, and I'm going to go all in one direction. And there it is, the whole thing covered, including the sides. Then I'm going to take my antique wax and very carefully, I'm going to go all in one direction. What I'm doing is trying to make it look like wood grain. And if you do this just right, just carefully and keep going over to make sure it's all going the right direction, like grain, it will work perfectly. In the center part, I just go around like a circle to make it look like that's the grain. Anyway, I go through the whole thing and I do a couple coats until it looks the way I want it. You can do it to any, depth that you like, depending on the color kind of wood you would have wanted. And it's amazing how much it looks looks like wood. Isn't that beautiful? I was inspired to make this video after watching Shannon from the Daily DIYer, and she loves to take the same item at Dollar Tree and make other things, and I thought, ooh, I want to try that too. I'll leave her link down in the description box, so if you don't know her, you can check her out. She's awesome. And now that's how it looks. I love it, you guys. I just think the whole faux wood look thing is awesome. Now I am going to deal with that center here just in a second. I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm going to take some nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. It's a pretty thick piece and I want it that way because I want it to cover. I didn't want a paint in there because inevitably I will get it on the mirror every time. It doesn't matter if I tape or not, I just will. So this will save me some cleanup. I'm just gonna snip off the end and hot glue, and there I am concentrating. I definitely have that concentrating face going on. Anyway, I love the way this one turned out. I think it's gorgeous, so easy. You could do this to pretty much anything to create that faux wood look. And since I'm afraid of fire, I'm cutting off the little rope wispy things. You know what I'm talking about. This Dollar Tree mirror, I'm going to go ahead and paint it in that Kills primer and cover up the center, so again you won't see lights or my really serious thinking face. I'm going to do about a coat and a half just so you can see a little bit of the silver through it. You know, it did occur to me afterwards I could have spray painted this outside. It might have been a really cold snowy day when I did it, so that might be why I didn't, but anyway, just an option for you. And there it is. I think it looks really nice. Now, I did a pretty good job. I didn't make it super covered because you're not going to see a whole lot of it, and this way it looks a little distressed. I've got this little basket of just extra greenery and flowers and stuff that gets cut off of things that I don't use. So I'm taking some greenery and I'm kind of positioning it the way I want it around. I kind of wanted it to almost look like a little garden lattice, you know, where there's some vines on it. And then I'm going to take some floral wire that I got at Hobby Lobby and I'm going to attach it, and then I'm going to use these gorgeous purple flowers. I feel like they came off the hydrangea pick that I had. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know somebody else out there knows this better than I do. I don't know the name of flowers very well. There's the floral wire that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to cut little pieces and then kind of position my greenery and my florals and come in from around the back and then go back through to the back and twist it around real tight and then snip off any ends and tuck them in. And I'm just going to do that to the whole thing and arrange it just the way I like it. You could do this any way you want with any greenery, any florals, whatever you like. It's really up to you. You could cover the whole thing, or you could do what I did where it's just sort of viney around and still you can see some of the white. And I just really love that look. It's almost like making a wreath out of this, but we're still gonna have the mirror in the middle. So it's just an attractive little wall hanging that has a mirror in it, and it looks very fresh and spring-like and just gardeny, which I really like. Gardeny? Really? Did I just make up a word? And I love those purple flowers. They're almost lavender. My favorite color is purple, so you'll probably see a lot of that in general on my channel because it sneaks in there all the time. I just can't help myself. I love it so much. Half the time I'm wearing a purple shirt too. So, and my water bottle, if you ever see that, it's purple too. Anyway, isn't that pretty? I think it just came out so pretty. And then I'm just going to take some hot glue and kind of tack down any really wild ends that didn't lay the way I wanted. And you know, that's just an easy way to kind of manipulate it and make it look just the way you like. And then I'll take out the center and this one will be done. And I just love it so much. You'll have to tell me what you think. And would you ever try something like this with a Dollar Tree mirror? For this Dollar Tree mirror, I have gorgeous napkins I got at Hobby Lobby, and so I'm going to go ahead and cover up the center again, and I'm going to take my napkin out, and it's a 3-ply napkin, so you've got to remove 2 of the pieces and just leave the very front. It's harder to do, but it's possible. So anyway, there was 1, there's 2, and now I'm only going to use the top piece. It will not work right if you do all of them or some of them. Anyway, I'm trying to flatten out the folds just a little bit. I'm going to use my Kiehl's primer, and I'll apply it with a little foam brush that I got on Amazon. It's a great deal. The reason I'm using the white primer is because the paper is pretty thin in the napkin, and in case you see through it, I want you to see white and not the color that the mirror was. Once I get that completely covered, I'm going to take my napkin and I'm going to position it. And I like to do this in sections. I'm going to use some Mod Podge. I'm just going to apply some with a brush, and then I will lay down that little side and I'm going to smooth it out with my fingers. Because this is like different textures and heights, I won't be able to use a brayer. I could use saran wrap, but it was dry enough. I didn't overload the Mod Podge, which is really important. You don't want to put like an excessive amount, or else your fingers will get wet as you do it, and then you'll start pulling up the napkin. So it's just really important to keep your fingers dry and just use the least amount of Mod Podge that you need for it to stick. And believe me, with this one little ply of the napkin, it doesn't need a whole lot. So I'm just going around the whole thing, and then when I got to like the end there, I realized one little corner wasn't covered. So I just tore off a piece, and it's a busy enough pattern that you won't even notice. So that worked out really nice. I didn't have to match it up. And now I'm just going to add more of the Mod Podge once I'm done touching it. And that way when it dries, I can just pull off the edges like so. And it makes it so nice. You just kind of rip them off. And I'm using the brush to help me by keeping that wet, and it really does make it go nice. And then I can lay it down with the wet brush so there's nothing sticking up. You know, the possibilities with this are endless. You could use so many different beautiful napkins, you know, that would fit your decor. I love that about it. Now it's time to get that middle piece out. I'm just going to use a little blade, like an X-Acto knife, very carefully, and just gently go around using my finger to guide me. And then I'll be able to go back in with that little art brush and a little bit of Mod Podge and kind of clean that up. So that came out really nice. And then I've got this white twine. I believe I got it at the Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna use hot glue. And I'm gonna go around 3 times in the center, and that way it covers up anything that was just kind of left sloppy. And then I will also, of course, clean the mirror, just using alcohol to do that. I'm going to take Waverly chalk paint in the color Agave, which is gorgeous, and I'm just going to paint the edges, and that kind of cleans up if there was any excess napkin or anything. And I just thought that was a perfect touch, and it matched one of the colors in the napkin. So I've got 2 ribbons, this gorgeous blue and then this very sheer iridescent one. I'm going to use a little bit of dots of hot glue to attach them together, and it's so weird, it ends up looking almost like denim when I'm done. But I'm just going to do a little crisscross, and I'm going to attach it to the back. All these mirrors have hangers already. There's little hangers built into them, but this one I thought was so pretty with the ribbon that matched. So that's why I did it. It wasn't necessary, it was just more aesthetic, but I also, you know, I'm securing it really good with extra ribbon and hot glue, so it can be used as an actual hanger. I really love this one. It's going to go in my bedroom, which is a coastal theme. I hope you like it. For this Dollar Tree mirror, I'm going to use some corks. I have quite a few of them. They were gifted to me by my stepdaughter, and I am so excited. I'm going to take this mirror, I'm going to cover the center again, and I'm going to go outside and spray paint it with some matte black paint, and I'm going to make sure that that is covered pretty well. I just used a box so it didn't get all over everything. It was kind of windy actually. And I'm going to use some flowers from just a little stash I have of extra little pieces. I'm going to take all the lavender ones I can find. I love lavender, you guys. It's my favorite. Oh, and by the way, it's purple. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to take this little teeny scissors I have, and I'm just going to stab holes in the middle of the corks and see if I can stick that lavender in there. And once I know that I can, then I can actually use hot glue to attach it into the hole of the cork, and that way it'll be very secure. I'm going to do that with all of them. Now I have enough of the darker lavender and the one with white to do every other one as I go around the mirror, and I just figured out where those little kind of square ends are that stick out. I'll put one there. It'll start like where the mirror is and set it down, and then hot glue it in 2 spots straight out. And honestly, if you're concerned about the corks moving, I would definitely use something more adhesive like E6000 or super glue. Now I'm going to add some greenery. It's just a little bit of like boxwood that I had left over from a Dollar Tree pick. I just put it all around until I liked the way it looked. This is going to be such a cool centerpiece. You could put a candle in it, a bottle of wine in the middle, or just leave it as it is. What do you think? For this Dollar Tree mirror, we're going to be all about nature. I'm going to use a bunch of sticks that my husband gathered from our yard, and I'm going to use some of this Spanish moss that I got at Walmart, and then my burnt umber apple barrel paint, that's from Walmart. I'm going to put something in the center to cover it, and then I'm going to paint the whole mirror in the apple barrel color. And the reason I'm doing that is just so that it blends more with the sticks. I mean, more or less with the sticks. I don't think that silver blends as well. And I'm going to start gluing the sticks right to those main little sunburst pieces, if you will. And I'm using snips to cut them, but it wasn't working, so I had to pull up my miter shears from Amazon. One of my favorite tools. Not sure why I didn't grab it first, but really glad I did because it went a lot faster. And I just used one as a guide, and then I cut a bunch. And then I'm going to fill in with more sticks. So basically I'm just going to put a lot of sticks where those sunburst things are sticking out. I don't know what to call them exactly. The rays of it, whatever it is. Anyway, it's good. I ended up using tacky glue at first, and then I ended up securing it with hot glue because it wouldn't stick fast enough. It would have been fine, but I wasn't patient and I wanted to keep working. So I ended up just securing it with the hot glue, and then I could keep moving and all was well with the world. You could actually use anything that you can find outside for this. Bark, leaves, pine cones, whatever you like. And there it is with all the sticks. And now I'm going to take the Spanish moss, and I can use the tacky glue for this. And I'm just going to stick it in between the sticks and just kind of almost make like a nest kind of a feeling. This is, like I said, very much nature. And then I'm going to take these little cotton picks from the Dollar Tree and our pods, and I'm going to fluff some of them out and just kind of attach them with hot glue all around. And I just think it's so interesting and very natural. You could use it as a centerpiece. You could hang it on the wall, whatever you want. I just think it's kind of cool. Hey, if you put it outside, I bet some birds would take over. I don't think I'm going to do that though. I'm just going to, I don't know what I'm going to do with it actually. Anyway, for you nature lovers out there, this is a great option for you for the Dollar Tree mirrors. I mean, you would never know this was that same mirror. So there you go. I hope you guys like it. Thank you so much for watching my video. I truly appreciate it. And I want you to know that you are a blessing to me. If you enjoyed this video, I've got more videos on the screen. Be sure to click one of them next, and I'll see you there. Bye.